So what can you do with the leftover parts? You get the neck, the heart, the liver, you get the giblets from the turkey that you just cleaned. Well, what I like to do is I actually like to make a broth with the parts, so I boil them. I don't season them at all. And I'm used to eating the neck as a little kid. That was like one of the treats. So I'll go ahead and eat the neck. The rest I'll give to the dogs, and they're very nutritious for the dogs. But with the broth, you can actually use it to make your own homemade stuffing, and you can actually use it to make your own homemade gravy. It works wonderful with that. And what I'm actually going to do with this broth later is make a homemade turkey pot pie. And I have all the stuff, and I'll show you how to do that in my next video. Like and subscribe. Thanks. So I have some delicious pan drippings from the turkey that I made, and I'm going to show you how to make a gravy that I actually use for a pot pie. So one of the first things that you do is you go ahead and heat your drippings in a pan and get them pretty hot. So we're going to go ahead and get that started. So you want to heat your pan drippings up to a boil. I'm going to let it go for a little bit more. I usually take about a half cup of flour, and I also made some turkey broth. So I'm going to use about a cup to a cup and a half to make this gravy. And I do have a video for the turkey broth. And voila. So it's about as thick as you want for your gravy, for your pot pie, or for your turkey, or for your meatloaf. And you just want to keep stirring it, and on low, and it'll thicken up. You can add more broth if you want. So I used about a half cup of flour, half a cup and a half of my turkey broth, and about a half cup of pan drippings for the turkey. And look at that. We're going to go ahead and give this a taste. Oh man, that's so good. So now, and you can add salt and pepper and spices to this. My broth didn't have any, and season the taste. And this is perfect for a pot pie. So when making your pot pie, I have the gravy done, I had the broth done, and now we're going to add the meat and the vegetables and the potatoes to the pie. Kind of butchered this pie crust when I took it out of the wrapper, but that's okay. It's good enough for who it's for. So we're going to go ahead and get started on filling the pie. I just went down and got 2 9-inch pie crust, one for the bottom and one for the top. So I like to add that first layer of turkey and make a nice layer, and then I'm going to add the vegetables to this. It's very simple to do. When you clean your turkey, you can pull off smaller pieces, and it works just great for a pot pie. So this is going to be the first layer. Then I'm going to add my veggies, and I'll even show you how to cut the potatoes. So for the potatoes, I just use a potato slicer, cut them into French fries, and then I just cut them into small blocks. It works out beautifully, and you have enough for 2 pies for 1 potato. So I got my frozen vegetables added. I'm going to let them thaw a little bit, get room temperature, but I got my gravy or my filling for my pie, and I got that in there. This is going to be the last level after the potatoes, and then we're just going to use a little bit of turkey on top to make sure there's a bite of turkey in every spoonful or forkful that you take. And you're done. Now it's time to just put the top on the pie, and then we're gonna go ahead and just bake it. And there's several temperatures and settings that you can use for this, but I just normally use about 400 degrees for about 20-30 minutes, and I just keep an eye on it. And there you have it. I put some slits in the pie crust, and I just took a fork around the edges There's going to be one last thing when you're baking this that you're going to want to do, especially if you're baking it for a long time, depending on your oven. But we're going to start out with 20 minutes. I made this one kind of big and it's full. So we're going to start out with 20 minutes and see where it goes. But everything in here is cooked. The vegetables are just needing to be warmed up. And when you're baking any pie, especially a pot pie, I don't like my crust burnt to crisp. So I put foil around this so that way it doesn't burn the crust. And you can take it off with like 10 minutes left if you want a little lighter golden brown crust. And I also put a pan underneath so that way nothing drips on your oven. You have to clean it later. So we're going to go ahead and put this bad boy in the oven once it heats up. And we're going to go ahead and have some pie. So at 20 minutes, we're going to go ahead and remove this. It's a pretty big, sizable pie, so we're going to cook it for just a little bit longer, probably about another 5 to 10 minutes. So we're going to take it to about 25 to 30 minutes total cooking time. What we want is the top of the pie to bubble. And we're going to check back. So I took off the foil so the crust will brown a little bit as well. Okay, we are at the 30-minute mark. And look at that. It's bubbling. It's brown just like we want it. It is perfect. So let's go ahead and get this sucker out. The house smells so wonderful. Oh, it's so beautiful. Cooked perfectly. No burnt crust. It's bubbling. We're going to let it cool and see how it turns out. All done, homemade, from scratch. The sauce, the turkey, the gravy, everything except for the frozen vegetables. But we're gonna go ahead and let this cool. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut this, and it may get a little messy, but that is okay. So you can actually make this with rotisserie chicken. If you have leftover rotisserie chicken, I've made this type of pie before with ground beef. Also, if you have leftover hamburgers from a barbecue, it works great. You can just save your drippings and your grease from what you're frying and stuff. You can make your own broth. You can use beef or chicken broth. You can buy it from the store, use the bouillon cubes. Very simple to make. This whole pie probably cost me about $4. So 4 years ago, probably would have cost me about $2, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and take this piece out and see how look at that crispy crust. This is going to be messy. So we're going to go ahead and just scoop it out and put it in the bowl. And voila, look at that. Stuffing stays in. Now, depending on how many slices you have here, you could have 5 or 6 more meals. Feed 5 or 6 more people. And look at that. So beautiful and wonderful. We're going to go ahead and get a bite. It's going to burn, but we're going to get a bite. Look at that yummy goodness. Let's go ahead and try this. This is better than store-bought pot pies. It tastes so much better and you know exactly what's in it. It tastes so good. Enjoy. This is one great meal that you can make with leftover turkey, and you can never go wrong. It soothes the soul. Thank you very much.